Oh, yeah.
back to you, Clay, for your wonderful bad news that you love to sprinkle everywhere.
Oh, yeah. So the bad news on medication. Medication can be great for secondaries. Yes, it can be bad because medication by the CFR, not by me, by 38 CFR, by VA standards and policies and regulations. If your medication lowers your symptoms, which by the way is good, right? Healthcare is important. Symptoms are bad, but it's that good bad that you had explained earlier, right? It's like, yes, I got PTSD. Shit, I got PTSD, right? Because now you're going to be service connected, assuming, but now you not only you, but your family's got to deal with whatever comes with that, right?
Right.
And that's not something that goes away. So if medication lowers those symptoms, the VA is supposed to evaluate the veteran from the perspective of you being able to work. That's why the disability word is in VA disability compensation. As much as we hate it, that is the standard of disability. That's what kind of sets the percentages for every single rating that we all share, right? And so I'm going to quote this. It says, from the point of view of the veteran seeking work and accurately reflect the elements of disability present. Now, the issue is it's extremely subjective. Okay. How does one rater, not even a rater, how does one CMP examiner determine, oh, this medication is actually helping, or this medication is just kind of subsidizing, right? Or suppressing those symptoms? It's extremely hard. Honestly, it's way over my head. That's definitely some medical field stuff that they're going to go through during the CMP exam. But the point is, if you take medication, yes, it's supposed to lower your rating. I think the greatest example of that is hypertension. Hypertension is serious. Okay, that is a you're going to die type disability, which absolutely sucks. And so you need medication. There is no let me not take my medication for a month and then go have this increased CMP exam. You're going to run the risk of heart failure and all kidney conditions, and it just goes south from there, I promise you. So medication is extremely important, and that's going to result in that 0% rating. One thing I do want to pull up, Jason, and I actually am going to share my screen here, is this verbiage. So this is the proposal for mental health. And I know we've covered this many times, but what I want to show everyone is it talks specifically about the proposal for mental health and how medication is going to give veterans a lower rating, so to speak. Okay. So general rating form of mental health disorders would consider any ameliorating, which just means to get better. Okay. So any effects that have gotten better of medications prescribed for a mental disorder. And it goes on and on. This is the 38 CFR code that you can go ahead and look up, 38 CFR 4.2. In other words, if a veteran were receiving medication for mental disability, VA would rate only the disabling symptomology that exists after the better effect ameliorative of medication are taken into account. Meaning, if your medication makes you better, which is a good thing, now it's a bad thing as far as VA disability compensation. I know that sucks. I don't even know how I'm gonna pass it to you because I still need to gather my thoughts on what I feel about this because I'm kind of in the crosshairs.
Yeah. Well, let me jump in then. So here's the thing. It's already like that. Any condition that you get rated for that has a future examination date, the VA is presuming in a negative, depending on how you look at it, in a negative way, compensation-wise for you, that with proper treatment, medication, whatever it is, physical therapy, whatever, whether it's mental health is a big one that you never get static out the gate. They're not going to go mental health. Oh, you're whatever percentage you're static. You're not going to get any better. No, they go, we're going to see you back here. And then we're going to make a determination on where you fall based on treatment. Same thing with well, the old GERD rating, I don't know how the new one is working out, but with the old GERD rating where they matched it up against hiatal hernia, once you got rated for GERD, they would push you out for a future exam to see how your Prilosec or whatever you're taking is managing your symptoms and so forth. So the way I think about it is any condition that has a future exam, the VA is then going, okay, from this date to this future exam date, we're going to be watching to see if there's any improvements. Why? Well, because if you improve, we're going to reduce you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what they're talking about here. And they do it currently for mental health. They're going to continue to do it for mental health. There's a handful of conditions that it just is what it is. The only time that won't happen for a future examination is if you are the lowest rating for that rating schedule. So if the rating schedule starts off at 10% and they rate you at 10%, they're not going to set a future exam because you're already the lowest rating that they can possibly give you. They're not going to take away your rating because you are service connected for it. So that's the only time you'll bypass that for a condition that would normally have a future exam. The other reason why they would, Clay, is if you had, let's just say, 6 conditions, and 5 of those conditions took you to 100% and they were all static. Now you're 100% permanent in total, but you had that one other condition that, let's say there would have been a future exam, but they're like, even if you were a 0% for that other condition, it doesn't change your other ones being up to 100%. So they'll just negate that one and say no future exam needed on that because it doesn't change your overall rating. So all that to say, and I'm going to kick it back to you, is that the way to know if the VA is watching your medication to see if they're going to reduce you is if you have a future exam. In other words, your condition's not deemed static by the VA. We'll kick it back over to you, Clay.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put myself in the seat of I'm a veteran who hasn't filed mental health yet. You know, let's fast forward. I do think this is going to be final next year of 2025, summertime next year probably. That's my personal opinion. So I'm putting myself right there. It's summer of 2025, and I've never filed for mental health. I'm gonna file for it, and all of a sudden, you know, people are talking about medication and mental health. And what I find weird is technically speaking, the VA is already doing this. However, the insert into the proposal is kind of like, hey, we're really going to do this, right? There's really no reason to put it into the proposal if it's already a 38 CFR code. That's my number one worry here, personally. But if I am that new veteran in summer 2025, this is final, and I'm making that up, by the way. What does this make me think? Well, I go to healthcare, which is important, right? I'm having trouble at home. I have some domestic violence issues. I got irritability, PTSD. I'm beating my wife, right? I mean, whatever is going on, and that's a very serious, you know, issue. My psychiatrist gives me medication, and now I'm like, whoa. I want 70%. You know, I'm not taking that. That's what I fear most about this thing specifically. It's the same thing as the Major Richard Starr Act. You're at 14 years. Do I just suck it up and not go to medical because I don't want to lose that DOD retirement? It's the same issue, and I just think that's
there's some conflicting things. Yeah,
we'd be lying to ourselves if that's not a thought in a veteran's mind.
Absolutely.
That's my number one concern. Well, I guess my number 2 concern is, one, why is it in the proposal to begin with if it's already doing it? And then 2, that healthcare piece. That's really my thoughts. I don't even know where to go from that, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, I think that if they don't put it in there, then it's not in there.
Yeah.
Because this is the new rating schedule for mental health. So they can't not have it in there because then it's not applicable anymore. So I think that they have to put it in there, and whoever wrote it up. I agree with you 1,000%, Clay, that you know, and I think that it's an awareness piece, right? So I think that as people are aware, right, it's a double-edged sword, right? We want to spread awareness, but then that awareness then creates, oh, well, here I go. Do I take the blue pill or the red pill, right?
Yeah.
So it is a scary situation, and I think that absolutely the way that the VA is structured for disability, I mean, it would be a big change to change how it currently is, but it perpetuates, is that the right word? The veterans kind of almost self-demise, right? So like, I don't want to take that because I don't want to lose my rating, because now I'm financially like sound with this. If this goes away, I'm now living under a bridge. So self-preservation is big for people, and they're going to make a decision that keeps the roof over their head and put their body last. I mean, that's the military trained us that way, right? Sacrifice your body for the greater good. Move on, rub some dirt on it, right? Okay, cool. I'll just continue that mindset. I'll just rub some dirt on it. I'll drink a little of this or some of that, and I'll just kind of push through and self-treat and disappear for days on end and not go to work and get fired and then have to find a new job. Yeah, and that's just what I'll do until finally I'm permanent and total. And even then, I'm scared to do anything because of all the fear out there about the VA sneaking after you to reduce you. So, you know, man, this is really a deep subject, and I don't know how deep I'm willing to get into it right now on this specific video, because this is a whole video by itself, and really we should have some super specialized guest in on this one, because I truly do think that that the VA is putting veterans at a higher risk by the way that it's currently set up. And that's kind of how I'm going to leave it. Back to you.
I totally agree. And that's medication, right? There's the good, there's the bad. The good is bad, the bad is good. Welcome to VA Disability Compensation. Thank you for your service, right?